Hey, discerning listeners, Love is Blind, the reunion. Let's watch.
Everything she does is so perfect. And it's like, no, it's not. Like, I'm literally being mean to you. I don't understand what's going on. And so I think my frustration.
The quiet part loud again. So she says, you're saying that I'm perfect. Meanwhile, I'm being mean to you. I'm not perfect. Okay, Hannah, so you're not just being direct? What was that? What did you just say? Yeah, and that was interesting. At the time, I didn't have a strong hypothesis about this, but the top of the list was that he is not really aware of who he is, and he doesn't have assertiveness, and he doesn't know his feelings or his rights or his needs. And as she was treating him the way that she was treating him, he didn't notice that he was being mistreated. There's another possibility that he was not invested in the relationship, and when she was treating him poorly, he saw it, but he didn't care because he knew that they were going to break up.
Was like, what the fuck is going on? I just didn't know what was going on. And then when I found that note, I was just like, oh, okay, like, I see what this is for you. Doesn't mean that, like, maybe he went on for the wrong reasons and he liked me and he wasn't expecting that. Maybe that's what happened, but, like, be so fucking for real. Like, that's not your reality.
And being...
Okay, so it sounds like she knew about the comments in the hallway prior to coming across that notebook. And she's also allowing for this other possibility, which is good, that he would go on a show hoping to get famous, but then legit had feelings for someone. But let's rewind that.
And so I think my frustration was like, what the fuck is going on? I just didn't know what was going on. And then when I found that note, I was just like, oh, okay, like, I see what this is for you. Doesn't mean that, like, maybe he went on for the wrong reasons and he liked me and he wasn't expecting that. Maybe that's what happened, but, like, be so fucking for real.
Now, if this is, or at least if she legitimately believes what she heard to be true, that would be very, very hurtful. If she heard it after the breakup, that would be really, really hurtful, traumatizing, potentially. Also, if she heard about it before breaking up, and the whole time while we were watching the show, she had this rattling around in her head, then that could explain her negativity. It doesn't justify her behavior at all. Certainly, having heard that doesn't justify the overall pattern that we saw of I'm superior to you, I'm better than you. Now, maybe she was leaning into a side of herself because of how hurt she was or something. And there was that line that she said in that fight after the party that, or was it after the party? At one of the fights, she's like, I need you to initiate more. I need you to initiate doing chores. I need you to initiate our relationship, and I need you to initiate sex more often. So, I don't know, maybe there's something there of an indication. So both can be true, that she could have been trolled or tricked or manipulated by him and harmed by him, and she could have been abusive as well. She could have been revealing a pattern of abusive control in intimate partnerships.
Like, that's not your reality.
And being one of her best friends, Marissa, you agree with that?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, I have always had conflicting feelings between Nick and Hannah just because I did get to know him and I got to know him as like a really good person. But with the things I was hearing, you know, about like her looks and how he was rating her and things like that, like it just makes you question like, okay, was he serious about her?
So Marissa is saying that she heard things as well, or is she saying I just heard this through Hannah? I'm curious.
When you say other people, do you mean other people in this room?
Yeah, I'm not the only one, and there's people on this couch who can also vouch.
Because those are fairly serious. Like if you're
okay, great question by the host, the Lachey's, and he asked that question, and then Marissa says, yeah, there's a lot of people that have heard these things. Okay, yeah, interesting.
Accusing him of saying things, you know, behind her back about her looks and etc. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I think if we need a fact check and get perspective, that was her.
Didn't like you say about my looks, like, was it with Ramses, maybe Garrett, I can't remember, that he was like asking you guys to rate what I looked.
So what's happening right now? Zach and Bliss are they reacting like this is horrible, what we're hearing, or are they as confused as I am? Let's rewind it.
I'm not the only one, and there's people on this couch who can also vouch.
Because those are fairly serious. Like if you're accusing him of saying things, behind her back about her looks and etc. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I think if we need a fact check and get perspective,
I don't
that was
know.
her.
Didn't you say about my looks? Like, was it with Ramses, maybe Garrett?
Okay, so she's asking Nick, didn't you talk with Ramses or Garrett about my looks? So did she hear this from Nick himself? I don't understand.
Can't remember that he was like asking you guys to rate what I look like.
I never said
Is that
that.
not-
I
that
never
happened,
said
or
that.
Did that not happen? I'm
If I'd
asking
like
Ramses
to tell
and Garrett.
my perspective,
If you're gonna talk,
like,
to
can
be
I talk?
honest, at least.
Yeah,
honest.
of course. And
Okay, I'm sorry. I want to rewind. I'm really curious as to what the verb. Yeah, everyone could be confused or lying, but they're over talking, so I want to.
Say about my looks, like, was it with Ramses, maybe Garrett? I can't remember that he was like asking you guys to rate what I look like.
Oh, so Hannah is asking Garrett or Ramses, didn't Nick ask you guys to rate what I look like? Maybe to get like confirmation of the way that Nick sees her or something. And then Nick says, I never said that. All right.
because that's how I was. And
wasn't saying
you
that.
dated me, and
Yeah.
we were we dated each other pretty far in the process. There's a reason why you kept talking to me. There's
And
a
I've
reason
had
why.
your back with Hannah multiple times off camera and since the show's revealed.
Look, I understand you want.
Is it real though, Nick? Because how's it real? Because then, okay, we break up, whatever. The only time you've texted me this past 3 years, like, are you going to share the notes production? Or are you
No,
gonna share
I
the
actually
note
texted you
production?
3 days ago.
You texted me 3 days ago.
Okay, so that's her ammo, and I'm suspicious about the other ammo. She's saying, if it was for real, then how come you haven't texted me after I broke up with you? After I broke up with you because you're not good enough for me, and we both agreed that you're not good enough for me. I mean, even if there's a lot of anyway. So if that's her ammo and that's at the same level as this rumor that she heard, or so, I don't know. I'm wondering what other if there's so Marissa's saying other people on the couch can attest to this. So the only thing that would really convince us is if we hear from someone. Sounds like maybe one of the guys. If they say, yeah, he did call her a grenade or something like that.
3 years, like, are you going to share the notes production? Or are you
No,
gonna
I
share the
actually
note
texted you
production?
3 days ago.
You texted me 3 days ago after some girl's DMing me talking about how you're trying to fly her out for the reunion.
What is happening? How you're trying to fly her? What is happening?
No, I actually texted you 3 days ago.
You texted me
You texted me 3 days ago about some girls DMing me talking about.
3 days ago after some girl's DMing me talking about how you're trying to.
After some girls are DMing me how you're trying to fly her out for the reunion. So some women were telling Hannah that Nick was hitting on them or one individual. What is happening? So the accusation is that Nick was flirting with someone online. Oh, okay. So was someone catfishing him or at the very least tricking him? And he was flirting and saying, hey, I'll fly you out. I'll meet you at the reunion and maybe we can have a thing. And then those women were not legit. And then they contact Hannah and say, look what, that's what it sounds like. What is the other option here?
Fly her out for the reunion.
What are you talking about?
Oh, the girls that you've been DMing, they're sending them to me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've read them all.
So, wait. She thinks this is ammo against him. She thinks this is ammo against him that a year after she broke up with him, that he has been flirting or talking with other women. Who knows what level of talk or flirt or whatever he has been engaging in. And those women are sending screenshots of that to Hannah. I mean, what the fuck? Why would anyone be doing that? I mean, or because Hannah's not saying these women were legitimately engaging with you, and then you did this thing, like you sent them a D-pic, a Nick D-pic, and then they were like felt assaulted, and then they contacted me and said, "Oh my God, I know what you mean. He is a D-bagger." Anyway, that's the only option here that I can think of in which Hannah's attack here would have any validity to it. So Hannah thinks this. So he's just talking with women to some degree, even if he was flirting with tons of women online. More than one, several women are DMing Hannah saying, "Look what he's doing." What? Everyone except for Nick looks like a dick in this situation. At least I don't know. Let's.
We're not.
I'm gonna speak.
You just spoke. Because all of this is your perspective, and you're trying to shit on me for no reason. I never brought your looks up once. This whole thing is blown out of perspective. I never once mentioned Hannah's looks at all, right? You know, you said your
Are
piece.
y'all really gonna sit here and
That's
just, like,
not true.
Come on,
Nick.
come on.
That's not true.
Francis.
I talked to you about it.
You talked to Steven about it, and Steven talked to me about it.
I didn't.
Okay, we have our first degree connection. Steven also looks like he's agreeing. Okay. Interesting that everyone's believing Steven's account. You know, you could see Steven trying to throw up a smoke screen, make himself look better by comparison. I don't imagine that's true. But, okay, so we're hearing that Steven told Monica, and then Monica told everyone else probably. Which, you know, I think is fine if that's what happened, right? So let's hear from Steven.
You have to be honest. You did. You said not nice things about the way Hannah looked.
I didn't
Hannah has
say
said
that.
shitty shit about you on camera and off camera, and you have also. So just take accountability.
Yeah, just
I didn't.
Okay, so Monica,
And-
you said she looked like a
what
grenade.
did-
You literally
sorry.
said she looked like a grenade.
I never said that.
Okay, let's hear from Steven, because I think all the women are only relying on what Steven said, and maybe he's telling the truth, but Nick is saying he never said it, and if he did say it, I think it's common for people in situations like this, whether they're on a reality TV show reunion or not, to just hold the line and deny because there's no recording of it in all likelihood. Is there a recording of it?
I never said that.
5 out of 10.
I never said that.
Yes, you did.
That's what you guys heard.
Okay, then we hear another detail, I think from Marissa saying you rated her 5 out of 10, right?
From this person and this person.
Your friends.
Yeah, okay.
Steven, I don't want to bring up bro code and any violation of bro code, but I mean, this is clearly.
This whole like bro code, and I don't know if there's a girl code, all that shit needs to stop. There should just be a human code. If someone is treating someone like shit, it shouldn't matter who you're friends with and whose gender is what. If it's so fucking stupid, and it's based on the patriarchy. That's the origin of the bro code, is that men will support each other in both subtle and non-subtle and systemic and individual ways to uphold their power. And one of the ways that they'll do it is that they will never rat each other out to each other's wives, because then that lets them get away with infidelity and harm and financial control and all the stuff. So all that needs to stop. And it's not manly. It just makes you look sexist or silly, or applying different ethics or morals to different people based on their gender or their proximity to you. That shit needs to stop.
Sounds like it's gone through you.
honest.
So did that happen?
Yeah.
I mean, we've got to be honest. That's why I'm protective of Hannah.
Okay, so Steven verbally agrees. I'd love to hear more information. I do know that they edited this. It looks pretty non-edited, but they do edit it. I think it's harder to edit this in a Frankenstein way, but because I'm saying all this because maybe they did ask him, because it would have been normal for the crowd or for the host or for himself to elaborate on what he heard. Maybe he will.
Because there was a lot of other things happening that clearly explains why she would feel insecure in her relationship and why she would feel frustrated. I mean, yeah, you said you talked about her looks in a very unkind way. When we were flying home from Mexico, you were the only one on the plane telling strangers, like, we're here to film a show, we're here to film. I mean, it was like, it was hard to watch.
Okay. Yeah, this could be an indication of something. It might not be. I'm less worried or concerned as a citizen about him going on the show and being overt and overly concerned about how he's going to look to the audience or how famous he's going to be. I'm less concerned about that because I imagine that all the cast members are leaning in that direction. They ask a lot of people to come on these shows, and a lot of people, from my understanding, say no because whatever benefit there is to being on the show, they don't have enough desire for fame. They're not oriented that way enough to justify the known downsides. Anyway, so I'm less concerned about this. I mean, there is a Venn diagram there. Like if he was trying for fame, then that does potentially overlap with him not being for real on the show and him being fake the entire time. There are a lot of things being said. Monica is saying there are so many things that indicate that you weren't here for real. You were the only one on the plane that was saying we're here to film a show. And if you just look at that statement, we're here to film a show, who cares if he would say that? I would probably say that. If I was on the plane flying to Mexico, I'd be like, and especially since you just got out of the pods and you see humans for the first time, I'd be like, did you know I'm on a reality TV show right now? This is weird. And I'm about to meet my fiance for the second time in person. Or was he just like walking up and down the aisles? I don't know. I say all this because I will hear this kind of thing in life and on this show sometimes where they'll be like, there are so, like I remember with Zeneb and her friends, they were saying there were just so many things that Cole did that were abusive. You don't understand what they were making some serious accusations, and maybe they were accurate, but they certainly didn't provide data, and they never provided a thing. And I guess, if I really think about it, it also stems from my own pain about this. People will attack or will criticize or will give negative comments, negative feedback, let's just say general statement, negative feedback about me, and they will have these blanket statements. And often when I come across these comments or emails or something, I immediately go, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? And because I just figure people aren't just going to lie or be that distorted, which is, silly to think. But anyway, then I will ask, and this goes back 16 years to the beginning of me podcasting. I'll ask people, okay, so you're making a lot of sweeping statements, and I don't have the time or the gumption to listen to this 2-hour, like it'd be an audio episode, a 2-hour audio episode or something. And they're like, oh my God, you're such a blank or whatever. And I would be, oh my God, like, what did I say? And then I would legit ask, can you give me a timestamp or a quote? Like, what did I say specifically? And then they'll have another general, broad accusation. And I'll say, oh, okay, yeah, I'd be really curious about what I said, what I did, what did I do, what did I say? Because then I can address it, or I'll know that I should not say that or something, And time and time again, people would not have anything specific. And then I would listen to the episode and I wouldn't hear anything. I would hear what I imagine what they're focusing on, but it was just that, like with the Elon Musk deep dive that I did recently, there were people that were coming after me, and I would ask that question. I'd be like, oh, okay, well, let me know. What did I say exactly? And they, and some people can, but many can't. And I would conclude, or I would talk with Umberto about it. I'd be like, so people are saying this, and not a lot, maybe one or two. And Umberto would say like, well, they're probably Elon Musk fans. And the fact that we weren't completely in his camp meant that they were just going to be upset and they'll come up with anything to say about us. And to be clear, I'm not a fan or a non-fan of Elon Musk. I, from the very beginning in those deep dives, said I was agnostic because I just didn't really know much about it. I learned a lot as we did the deep dive. But anyway, point is that I am reacting to what Monica said, where she's just like, we have all of these data points. And I'm like, okay, well, give us one. And then we hear one, and it's not convincing. It's possible it's pointing at something, but I'm not going, oh, wow, that's a slam dunk, because the quote is, we're here to film a show. Now, I'm not, there's a possibility that Monica, if she could hear this, she'd be, no, what, you don't, let me describe it in more detail. He was saying a bunch of things, and, it's possible.
It didn't seem like when Hannah found the note, Hannah reached out to me shortly after she found Nick's 3 goals. I think the same day. I was 0% surprised.
Yeah, we weren't
0% surprised.
It's just funny to hear, the woman kind of getting at me because I never talked to them once on the show. I never told Steven, how I felt about Hannah.
Steven, he just said that he never talked to you about the...
Okay, yeah. Please, someone ask Steven. Now, is Steven going to tell us, well, someone else told me?
He talked to me about the grenade, but he didn't tell me about how he actually felt because, again, we had only had the reveal.
But he talked about the grenade.
He said she looks like a grenade?
Yes.
But what I'm
Okay, thank you. The host is like, what did he say exactly? Now, it's hard to imagine any sentence involving the word grenade without it being horrible, right? The least of the problematic statements that he could say would be, I don't know, she kind of looks like a grenade, but sure do, I love her anyway. Like that doesn't make any sense. And just the fact that you would use that word, it both implicates him for being fake post-reveal as someone that was legitimately trying to get married and interested in her and thinking that she's perfect and how beautiful she is, right? It implicates him that way, but it also implicates him in the pods because, like I was saying earlier, if you're saying stuff like that post-reveal, what's the possibility that you're legitimately in love and wanting to get married? There's just no way. And then I guess it would implicate him as some kind of mild psychopath, right? If you think about it, who knows? We'll add this to the list that if it's true that he wasn't really in love with Hannah, and I remember at least thinking this, I think I might have said something that Hannah breaks up with him, right? So he's Rico Suave, and the women in the pods in the lounge were all saying that he's Rico Suave, and then Hannah seems to like Nick, but she likes Leo more. But the women are like, essentially, you got to break up with him because he's not on here legitimately. And, they had a lot more contact than we saw. They had a lot more knowledge of him than we would from the edit. But from my perspective, I was thinking, well, he could just be Rico Suave as a defense, and it's a persona that he thinks he needs to put on, or he's in reality much more insecure and dorky or something. I had that at least at the top of my hypothesis list. But then so Hannah goes in, breaks up with him, and then he leaves, and the way he reacted to being broken up with it, but we don't know. Grief can manifest in a lot of different ways, but we didn't see a reaction out of him, and it didn't. So it lent itself to the possibility that he wasn't really invested, that he was trying to get on the show, that he was trying to get through the phases. Then Hannah relents after she learns that Leo and Brittany, this could be a case of the kettle calling the pot black, the pot calling the kettle black. Idioms of me, I don't know. So then she invites him back into the pods. He comes back and is super nice and doesn't get upset. I was wondering if he's not in connection with his feelings and or doesn't have any assertiveness or something, but I think I said maybe he's not really into this because he's not reacting. He doesn't seem to have the typical reactivity, the typical hurt and anger or upsetness or wariness, right? You would think it's someone in his shoes would be extremely wary of Hannah after that point, right? But we don't know. I couldn't know, and I generally give people the benefit of the doubt. I can't know. I wouldn't put money on this sort of thing, real money on this sort of thing, meaning that I'll sometimes make metaphorical bets about this sort of thing, but I wouldn't put real money because there's just not enough data. And then we hear about this, and Steven says that, and Nick is denying it. So at this point, the women are convinced, but they've only heard it through Nick or through Steven, and it wouldn't surprise me, one, that the women would believe this, whether it's true or not, because of the way they were talking about Nick in the pods, that he was fake and he's Rico Suave and all that stuff, but also because typically on the show, people tend to stick with their pods, right? And the fact that it goes down gender line makes sense because it's not just gender; it's the fact that they become really good friends in the lounge. They're at camp essentially for 10 days, and they're going through this extreme experience. And research shows that when we go through extreme experiences, positive and negative, we will bond with the people around us in a very extreme. It's the foxhole effect, that kind of thing. So the fact that the women are very sure of this and supporting Hannah doesn't really surprise me. But Stephen, and then you think, well, Stephen is a known liar. But why would he lie about this?
Saying is like, as far as the rating scale goes, I specifically do not remember that conversation. But
There's
I do
people on
remember
the stage who do.
Okay, that points at Ramses, right? So are we going to hear from Ramses?
And there's people on the stage who would have my back and know that I'm a good guy and I was here for the right reason.
I personally feel like this conversation is extremely mature. I'm just counting seconds till we move past it.
Yeah, I guess it's immature, but it's something that at least, am I immature for being curious? I'm curious. Wait, did Garrett hear something and he just doesn't want to get into it or something? I don't know. Or does maybe Garrett just likes Nick and thinks that he's a good enough guy and just wants to move forward or something. By the way, the dress that Taylor is wearing, is that metal? Because that would explain how uncomfortable she looks. Or does she just have naturally really good posture, which I wouldn't doubt. That can't be metal, right? It has to look metal. It's not copper, is it? I mean, she is a scientist, so maybe she made it or something. I don't know. It's quite striking, though. It does look like copper or bronze. Anyway, we see Ramses is staring off in the distance, I think just trying to stay out of it or something. I don't know. But I wish that they would let Stephen just fully talk. This is what I heard. This is what he said. This is what happened. This was his tone of voice. Because a lot depends on that.
To be honest.
Well, these are things that we do have to talk about.
Yeah,
it's uncomfortable, but we have to talk about them.
It's not that it's immature, Garrett. Like, Hannah's getting killed on the internet, right? And, like, Hannah was a bit...
Yeah. Hannah is being killed on the internet. I mean, I don't know that. I would assume, which is not okay. But that doesn't mean that she needs to attack Nick in this moment. What people should be doing is, Hannah included and her friends, should be attacking the people attacking her online. It should be just stop it, knock it off. And that whole culture needs to fucking change. I keep saying this, but I hope you're not doing that. I'm going to guess and say that you're not doing it. It doesn't take very many people to do it, though, for it to be extremely abusive and traumatizing. And yeah, so we're seeing a triangulation here. Just very briefly, when there's tension between two elements or people or components, then there's a tendency to triangulate a third element into it. So you have the tension between Hannah and society, right? So people on the internet are attacking her, and she's like, oh, that hurts, right? Which, is valid. And they're triangulating Nick into this situation. Or another way you can look at it is that you have conflict between Hannah and Nick, and the internet is being triangulated in. The way to analyze this is that the third other is both pulled in and also volunteers for it, typically. So it's both and, that the internet is both sucked in because we're watching the show and we see a lot of unresolved conflict and it's tense. So there's a sucking motion that happens, but we also, if we participate in it, and I'm participating in that triangulation. I'm watching tension, I'm sucked in, and I'm also volunteering to participate in the conversation by posting these reaction videos. Triangulation itself is not dysfunctional. It's how it plays out, and it's hard to know. And of course, everyone is going to be self-serving with the analysis, but you can have a functional triangle or dysfunctional. Therapy is often, hopefully, a functional triangulation. When we will triangulate a third, sometimes we will scapegoat the third. And so, as Marissa is saying, Hannah is my friend, and she's being attacked online because of what was on the show. And that's your fault, Nick, so we need to tear you down so the internet stops attacking Hannah and attacks you instead. When what should be happening is everyone should be saying, stop attack. In fact, the host, they should start and end every reunion, or maybe every episode, with someone saying, hey, don't attack these people. But of course, the production doesn't care because they want online discussions and engagement and things going viral because they make money. So that's why they're not saying it. I can't know that. Now, I'm not saying the entire production. My contact on the show, the way that she talks, she could be lying to me too or hiding things, but she seems to very much care about the cast and would defend them, beyond what other people would defend them, honestly. And so I'm not accusing like everyone who works on the show. It's the people in charge.
Bitch to Nick, and I'm sorry for that. On like, as her best friend, I'm sorry that she was like that, and like she should not. She's been mean to me before too. Like she has room to grow.
Okay, that's interesting. Interesting. So Marissa is, I don't think she's talking about directness. I think she's talking about what we saw. So she's acknowledging to Nick, yeah, I saw that, and that's not okay. And it's also possible that to this day that they're recording that Marissa, for the very first time, saw, because they show them the episodes that haven't been aired yet, right? So it's possible that just today, Marissa's like, whoa. I mean, she's been that way to me, kind of, but that was not okay. She has a lot of room to grow. Okay. Yeah.
I can think that you guys are out for
Yeah, I call Hannah out before.
It's not bitchy. That's not what it is. It's not it's bullying or abusive or superiority talk or putting other people down or diminishing other people. It's not bitchy. It's not direct. It's not the truth.
It's not that it's all her. That it's her. It's her. It's not him. That he's this golden retriever puppy dog. You're not, Nick. Okay? You said some mean shit. It got back. Ramses, you want to sit there quietly? Go figure.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know what she's saying exactly. I wonder if she's saying, Ramses, once again, you're not being straightforward. You're hiding like you did with me in our relationship. I think that's what she's referring to, which it did look that way.
You know what he fucking said. You know what he said. And it's like, we're going to be the bad people for attacking
Right,
golden
like,
retrievers.
we're just saying the
I
truth.
think you should ask the source. There's so many rumors that go on this show.
It's the truth.
I know exactly the
that's your
scenario where
truth.
you said
That's
it
your
because they
I hate it when this happens. I wish I could just mute everyone and ask Steven and Ramses to tell us as much detail as possible. It happens on these shows all the time where someone will bulldoze or get involved and derail what would be helpful to their cause, which is hand the floor over to Ramses and Steven and get the full scenario, get the full story.
Perspective, and I have my perspective on it.
It's not perspective. It's okay, fine.
You saw the whole
They
show.
lied. They lied to me. It's fine. Ramses lied
You
to me.
saw
It'll
the
be
whole
fine.
So I want to point out that Nick keeps saying, I was legitimately on the show. I wasn't fake. And you saw the show. So it kind of sounds like what Nick is saying is, maybe I did say some of these things, but that doesn't mean I wasn't legit. Yeah, I don't know. All right, well, let's adjourn there for now. Tune in next time when I continue watching the reunion. I want to give a shout out to the members who have been a member of this channel for the longest. I have already read a bunch of folks. Let's continue with that list. We have Casey, Marissa, Rachel, Elsie, Lauren Garcia, Danny, Meg, Carolyn, Fraser, K-Bean, Sydney Day, Kate, Emma, Bitter Flower, View from the Windows, Anna, Dalton, Joy Christine, H.I., Jang Marie, Kim, Katie, Georgia. Thank you so much for becoming, and I'll continue this list next time. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.